When we think of the term equal fractions, and for that matter, whenever we think about fractions in general, it's always nice to start with a half. Because it's a fraction that we are comfortable with, it's a fraction that you look at and you learn about a lot as at a young age, and it's something that we can understand. And we know that a half, 4/8, 6/12, 50 hundredths, we know that these are all worth a half. They're all worth the same amount. Each one has the same value. And that helps us understand and reminds us that we can have multiple fractions, look different, but have the same value. They are equal to each other. And that's the concept that we're going to be looking at today. If we take a look at this fraction, we can see that we count the numerator as the shaded regions, which would be 1, and the denominator as all the sections, 1, 2, 3, the total number of sections. So we have 1/3. All I'm going to do is divide each section as best as I can equally in half. That doesn't look perfect, but that's okay. And now I can count a new fraction, my numerator, 1, 2, and my denominator is the total number of sections, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we have a new fraction. And we know that the total amount of space in this circle has not changed. The total shaded space has not increased or decreased. And that reminds us that these two fractions are equal. So we want to think about how do we mathematically get from one fraction to another equal fraction. And let's take a look at what happens to the numerator and denominator in the process that we just did. So we can repeat this process, and I'm going to look at splitting the shaded region first. I am doubling the number of shaded spots we have, and we double by doing times 2. Now if we look at the total number of spots, I just doubled one spot, another region, and another region. So I have doubled the 3 spots that we had. So I am doubling my denominator as well. And this is the process that we're always going to repeat. It doesn't have to be times 2. It has to be times the same number on the numerator and denominator. And this is what we want to remember. Multiply the numerator and denominator by the same number. Let's take a look at another example. If we look at this fraction, I can count I have 1 for my numerator and a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for my denominator. So what I'm going to do this time, and I'm going to do my best to do it, is split each section twice into equal parts. Now remember, mine isn't perfect, and it should be, but for learning what we're doing, that's okay. So we are taking each section and we are tripling the number that was in there. If we focus on one section, there was 1 in here, and now there are 3. And that happened in each section. So I took my original numerator of 1 and I tripled the amount. And I took each denominator section and tripled that. And again, this is following our rule. Multiply the numerator and denominator by the same number. As long as we show our work like this, we will always find another equal fraction. If we look at our last example here, we have 1, 2 shaded sections, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 sections total for our denominator, 2/14. So we're going to actually add and modify this rule we have. instead of increasing number of sections, I'm going to decrease the number of sections. So if you notice the picture, we have these sections that are a little bit darker and the sections that I drew in. So looking at this, I'm going to take two sections and I'm going to combine them into one. And I will show you what I mean. Here you can see our shaded section has changed from 2 to 1. I took the two sections that were here and divided it by 2 to leave it with one section. Now I'm going to repeat that same process. I'm going to divide each section and I'm going to combine it into one. So I'm dividing each section by 2. So I've taken the total number of sections and divided it by 2. And this again is finding us an equal fraction because the amount of shaded space in this fraction has not increased or decreased. I have not affected the value in any way. So I know that this fraction is the same. So we modify our rule as multiply or divide the numerator and denominator by the same number. We always want our work to look just like this. A number on the top and bottom and dividing on the or multiplying on the top and bottom. Please make sure that you are using the same number when you do so.